Welcome to Understand Your PSAT Report. This is Nick Stanley, the founder and CEO of Test Prep Gurus. This video has three main goals. Answer common questions about the PSAT and National Merit Scholarships. Simplify the complex information found on the PSAT report. Help you form a basis of understanding so that you and your son or daughter can take the next steps towards realizing your goals for college and beyond. The first step is to log into your College Board account, or create one if you don't have one yet. The online version has a lot more useful information than the paper report does. Once you're logged in, you'll see the online dashboard. Our sample student, Ima, has taken several PSAT and SAT exams. Her most recent PSAT NMSQT exam can be found here. By the way, if you're wondering what PSAT NMSQT stands for, Preliminary SAT National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test. Click View Details and you'll be taken to the actual PSAT report. You're going to notice that the online report is organized differently than the paper version. Let's begin with the most important numbers, the scores. You'll find the total score here and here. The total score is comprised of two section scores, the evidence-based reading and writing score and the math score. For this student, we would add her 380 verbal plus her 480 math for a total score of 860. Now this is where it gets interesting. Notice that the fine print says 320 to 1520. The PSAT is not scored on the familiar 1600 point scale of the SAT. Let's take a quick moment to review the PSAT and SAT scoring scales. The PSAT 8-9, which is a test for 8th and 9th graders only, is actually capped at 1440. The PSAT NMSQT, the report we are currently looking at, is capped at 1520. The PSAT 10, which is a PSAT for 10th graders that is given in the spring at select high schools, is also capped at 1520. Finally, we have the SAT, which goes up to 1600. If you think three separate scoring scales is needlessly confusing, trust me, you are not alone. But there is a method behind the madness. The rationale of the College Board is that the PSAT 8-9 contains easier questions than the PSAT NMSQT or the SAT, so students can't score as high on that PSAT 8-9. The PSAT NMSQT contains harder questions than the PSAT 8-9, so students can score a little higher. And then the SAT contains the highest level difficulty questions, so students can score all the way up to the familiar 1600. The next item we need to discuss is percentile rank. With the redesign of the SAT and PSAT, the College Board began giving all students not one, but two percentile rankings, the nationally representative sample percentile and the PSAT NMSQT user percentile. Let's look at our sample student, Ima. Did she score higher than 41% or 23% of PSAT takers? The first number, the 41, is designed to represent all U.S. students regardless of whether they typically take the PSAT. So Ima, our sample student, is projected to have scored higher than 41% of all 11th grade students. The second number, the 23, is based on actual PSAT takers. So the answer is that Ima scored higher than 23% of PSAT takers, not 41. There are two important takeaways for families and counselors here. One, the national percentile is always going to be higher than the user percentile. Two, the user percentile is the one you should be focusing on if you're considering applying to selective colleges. I would note that the paper version of the PSAT report currently only includes the national percentile, the higher of the two numbers. One more reason to review your report online. Now, if you scroll down a little further on your online report, you're going to find a lot of additional measurements and shiny color-coded bars. Let's break these down one by one. The raw scores indicate the exact number of right and wrong answers on each section. The cross-test scores are based on questions throughout the exam that deal with science or history. Outside of a few rare exceptions, college admissions officers aren't going to be concerned with these numbers, so you shouldn't be either. Sub-scores break down your performance by subject area. This section would be much more useful to students if the categories were more specific. I'd like to see categories such as your performance on linear inequalities, quadratic equations, modifier placement, rhetorical purpose, and so on. Mock SAT and ACT exams given by reputable test prep companies should break down your performance into more specific categories than the PSAT report does. Let's move on to the next section, test questions. Please note that you can only access the test question explanations if you access your report online. The paper version simply directs you to log in online. Every student should log in online to review the questions they missed. In this section, you'll see 4 tabs at the top of the screen: Reading, Writing and Language, Math Without Calculator, and Math with Calculator. We're going to look at the Math Without Calculator section. You'll see the total number of questions, correct answers, and incorrect answers. A little further down, you'll see the questions that were answered incorrectly. If you see a green check mark, you answered it correctly. If you see a letter, you need to review that question. This student missed question number 2. For any missed question, I would encourage students to attempt the problem again before revealing the answer and explanation. When you're ready, all you have to do is click and you'll see that explanation for how to solve the problem. I really can't adequately explain how cool this feature is and what a useful tool it is for students to improve their scores, whether they're working with an instructor or doing this on their own. This is a treasure trove of information and just a fantastic tool to help you improve. Let's move on to Skills Insight. This provides more detail into the skill sets that are assessed on the PSAT. It can be useful for test prep professionals or students doing self-study. But if a student is pressed for time, they should ignore this section and spend their energy reviewing the individual test questions that they missed. That's the section we just reviewed. And finally, the section so many of you have been waiting for, National Merit Scholarship Selection. The Selection Index score is used for determining national merit scholarships. This student selection score is 124. The 124 is derived from 3 raw scores from each section of the PSAT. We're going to add the 3 scores together, multiply by 2, and we get 124. Just to keep you on your toes, the College Board decided to put the National Merit Selection Index score on yet another scale. This one ranges from 48 to 228. A quick review of the eligibility requirements for National Merit Scholarships. The key one here is that sophomores cannot qualify, only juniors. Approximately 1.6 million students take the PSAT annually. Of those, just about 1% will be semifinalists. About half of semifinalists then go on to win scholarships. So this is not easy by any stretch. Please note that if you qualify as a National Merit semifinalist, your high school will notify you of this honor in early September of your senior year. Key point, this is a state-by-state competition, and the barriers to entry vary considerably from one state to another. Notice that the 5 highest scoring states typically see cutoffs ranging from 220 to 224, while the 5 lowest scoring states typically see cutoffs that are 10 points lower, which is a considerable difference. In closing, let's look at the top benefits of taking the PSAT. 1. The process provides an excellent dry run for future standardized exams. Familiarity with high-stakes testing helps to lower anxiety, which in turn helps students perform better on future SAT and ACT exams. 2. Students can compare their PSAT score to a practice ACT score to determine whether the SAT or ACT is naturally a better fit for their strengths. We at Test Prep Gurus offer students free online mock ACT exams and conversion tables which they can use to compare their PSAT and ACT scores. 3. And this is really the most important one. The PSAT provides a check-in point to make sure that families are on the right track to achieve their goals for college. If they find that their scores are not on track with their goals, they have plenty of time to do something about it. I'm Nick Stanley, the president of Test Prep Gurus. We provide expert one-on-one instruction for the ACT, SAT, IC, academics, and AP exams. We have numerous physical locations in Southern California. We also provide virtual one-on-one instruction to students across the United States and around the world. If you'd like a free online mock ACT exam or would just like to be notified of new videos and articles regarding college admissions and standardized testing, please visit us at www.prepgurus.com/free. That's www.prepgurus.com/free. This is Nick Stanley signing off. It's been fun.